Hey there, friends. Pastor Jason here. Glad you can join me for daily devotionals. We're in Joshua chapter 21 and 22, and we're going to see the Levites get their cities, and we're going to see the first instance where the Israelites might have an issue with one another. Let's take a look at it. Chapter 21, verse 1. The heads of the Levite families approached Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the families of the Israelite tribes. At Shiloh in the land of Canaan, they told them, "The Lord commanded us through Moses that we be given cities to live in, with their pasture lands for our livestock." So the Israelites, by the Lord's command, gave the Levites these cities with their pasture lands for their inheritance. A lot came out for the Kohathite clans. The Levites, who were descendants of Aaron the priest, received 13 cities by lot from the tribes of Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin. The remaining descendants of Kohath received 10 cities by lot from the clans of the tribes of Ephraim, Dan, and half the tribe of Manasseh. Gershon's descendants received 13 cities by lot from the clans of the tribes of Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and half the tribe of Manasseh in Bashan. Merari's descendants received 12 cities for their clans from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Zebulun. The Israelites gave these cities with their pasture lands around them to the Levites by lot, as the Lord commanded through Moses. The Israelites gave these cities by name from the tribes of the descendants of Judah and Simeon to the descendants of Aaron from the Kohathite clans of the Levites, because they received the first lot. They gave them Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, with its surrounding pasture lands in the hill country of Judah. Arba was the father of Anak, but they gave the fields and villages of the city to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, as his possession. They gave to the descendants of Aaron the priest Hebron, the city of refuge for the one who commits manslaughter, with its pasture lands, Libnah with its pasture lands, Jatir with its pasture lands, Eshtemoa with its pasture lands, Holon with its pasture lands, Debir with its pasture lands, Ain with its pasture lands, Judah with its pasture lands, and Beth Shemesh with its pasture lands, 9 cities from these two tribes. From the tribe of Benjamin, they gave Gibeon with its pasture lands, Gibeah with its pasture lands, Anathoth with its pasture lands, Almon with its pasture lands, 4 cities. All 13 cities with their pasture lands were for the priests, the descendants of Aaron. The allotted cities to the remaining clans of Kohath's descendants, who were Levites, came from the tribe of Ephraim. The Israelites gave them Shechem, the city of refuge for the one who commits manslaughter, with its pasture lands in the hill country of Ephraim, Gezer with its pasture lands, Kibzaim with its pasture lands, Beth Horon with its pasture lands, 4 cities. The tribe of Dan, they gave, from the tribe of Dan, they gave Eltiki with its pasture lands, Gebathon with its pasture lands, Ajalon with its pasture lands, Gath Rimmon with its pasture lands, 4 cities. From half the tribe of Manasseh, they gave to Anak with its pasture lands, Gath Rimmon with its pasture lands, 2 cities. All 10 cities with their pasture lands were for the clans of Kohath's other descendants. From half the tribe of Manasseh, they gave to the descendants of Gershon, who were one of the Levite clans, Golan, the city of refuge for the one who commits manslaughter, with its pasture lands in Bashan, Beshitera, with its pasture lands, 2 cities. From the tribe of Issachar, they gave Kishion with its pasture lands, Debireth with its pasture lands, Jarmuth with its pasture lands, and Ganim with its pasture lands, 4 cities. From the tribe of Asher, they gave Mishal with its pasture lands, Abdon with its pasture lands, Helkath with its pasture lands, and Rehob with its pasture lands, 4 cities. From the tribe of Naphtali, they gave Kadesh in Galilee, the city of the refuge for the one who commits manslaughter, with its pasture lands, Hamath Dor with its pasture lands, and Kartan with its pasture lands, 3 cities. All 13 cities with their pasture lands were for the Gershonites by their clans. From the tribe of Zebulun, they gave to the clans of the descendants of Merari, who were the remaining Levites, Jokneam with its pasture lands, Karta with its pasture lands, Dimna with its pasture lands, and Nahalal with its pasture lands, 4 cities. From the tribe of Reuben, they gave Bezer with its pasture lands, Jahaza with its pasture lands, Kedemoth with its pasture lands, and Naphath with its pasture lands, 4 cities. From the tribe of Gad, they gave Ramoth and Gilead, the city of refuge for the one who commits manslaughter, with its pasture lands, Mahanaim with its pasture lands, Heshbon with its pasture lands, and Jazer with its pasture lands, 4 cities in all. All 12 cities were allotted to the clans of Merari's descendants, the remaining Levite clans. Within the Israelite possession, there were 48 cities in all with their pasture lands for the Levites. Each of these cities had its own surrounding pasture lands. This was true for all the cities. So the Lord gave Israel all the land he had sworn to give their fathers, and they took possession of it and settled there. The Lord gave them rest on every side, according to all he had sworn to their fathers. None of their enemies were able to stand against them, for the Lord handed over all their enemies to them. None of the good promises the Lord had made to the house of Israel failed. Everything was fulfilled. Chapter 22. Joshua summoned the Reubenites, the Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh, and told them, "You have done everything Moses, the Lord's servant, commanded you, and have obeyed me in everything I commanded you. You have not deserted your brothers even once this whole time, but have carried out the requirement of the command of the Lord your God. Now that he has given your brothers rest, just as he promised them, return to your homes in your own land that Moses, the Lord's servant, gave you across the Jordan. Only carefully obey the command and instruction that Moses, the Lord's servant, gave you, to love the Lord your God, walk in all his ways, keep his commands, remain faithful to him, and serve him with all your heart and all your soul." Joshua blessed them and sent them on their way, and they went to their homes. Moses had given territory to half the tribe of Manasseh in Bashan, but Joshua had given territory to the other half, with their brothers, on the west side of the Jordan. When Joshua sent them to their homes and blessed them, he said, "Return to your homes with great wealth, a huge number of cattle, and silver, gold, and bronze, iron, and a large quantity of clothing. Share the spoil of your enemies with your brothers." The Reubenites, Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh left the Israelites at Shiloh in the land of Canaan to return to their own land of Gilead, which they took possession of according to the Lord's command through Moses. When they came to the region of the Jordan in the land of Canaan, the Reubenites, Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh built a large, impressive altar there by the Jordan. Then the Israelites heard it and said, "Look, the Reubenites, Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh have built an altar on the frontier of the land of Canaan, at the region of the Jordan on the Israelite side." When the Israelites heard this, the entire Israelite community assembled at Shiloh to go to war against them. Verse 13. The Israelites sent Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, to the Reubenites, Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh in the land of Gilead. They sent 10 leaders with him, one family leader for each tribe of Israel. All of them were heads of their families among the clans of Israel. They went to the Reubenites, Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh in the land of Gilead and told them, "This is what the Lord's entire community says. What is this treachery you have committed today against the God of Israel by turning away from the Lord and building an altar for yourselves so that you are in rebellion against the Lord today? Wasn't the sin of Peor, which brought a plague on the Lord's community, enough for us, so that we have not cleansed ourselves from it even to this day? And now you would turn away from the Lord? If you rebel against the Lord today, tomorrow he will be angry with the entire community of Israel. But if the land you possess is defiled, cross over to the land the Lord possesses, where the Lord's tabernacle stands, and take possession of it among us. But don't rebel against the Lord or against us by building yourselves an altar other than the altar of the Lord our God? Wasn't Achan son of Zerah unfaithful regarding what was set apart for destruction, bringing wrath on the entire community of Israel? He was the one was not the only one who perished because of his sin. The Reubenites, the Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh answered the leaders of the Israelite clans. Yahweh is the God of gods. Yahweh is the God of gods. He knows, and may Israel also know. Do not spare us today if it was in rebellion or treachery against the Lord that we have built for ourselves an altar to turn away from him. May the Lord himself hold us accountable if we intended to offer burnt offerings and grain offerings on it, or to sacrifice fellowship offerings on it. We actually did this from a specific concern that in the future, your descendants might say to our descendants, "What relationship do you have with the Lord, the God of Israel? For the Lord has made the Jordan a border between us and you, descendants of Reuben and Gad. You have no share in the Lord, so your descendants may cause our descendants to stop fearing the Lord." Therefore we said, "Let us take action and build an altar for ourselves, but not for burnt offering or sacrifice. Instead, it is to be a witness between us and you, and between the generations after us, so that we may carry out the worship of the Lord in his presence with our burnt offerings, sacrifices, and fellowship offerings. Then, in the future, your descendants will not be able to say to our descendants, 'You have no share in the Lord.' We thought that if they said this to us or to our generations in the future, we would reply, 'Look at the replica of the Lord's altar that our fathers made, not for burnt offerings or sacrifice, but as a witness between us and you.' We would never rebel against the Lord or turn away from him today by building an altar for burnt offering, grain offering, or sacrifice, other than the altar of the Lord our God, which is in front of his tabernacle." When Phinehas the priest and the community leaders, the heads of the Israelite clans who were with him, heard what the descendants of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh had to say, they were pleased. Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, said to the descendants of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, "Today we know that the Lord is among us, because you have not committed this treachery against him. As a result, you have delivered the Israelites from the Lord's power." Then Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, and the leaders returned from the Reubenites, the Gadites in the land of Gilead, to the Israelites in the land of Canaan, and brought back a report to them. The Israelites were pleased with the report, and they praised God. They spoke no more about going to war against them to ravage the land where the Reubenites and Gadites lived. So the Reubenites and the Gadites named the altar, "It is a witness between us that the Lord is God." Well, chapters 21 and 22, I just love the way chapter 21 ended, and it ends on the faithfulness of the Lord. The Lord is faithful to give all the land and fulfill all the promises he had to say to the sons of Israel. And then we get the first interaction between the two, a mistaken assumption. And we can do that oftentimes, especially in the church. We can make assumptions about people without actually talking to them first. And we get all in a hubbub when really they're doing the Lord's work, and they're doing things that aren't unrighteous, and they have a good heart for what they are doing. And I would hope that would serve as a reminder to us to be graceful, merciful, loving with our brothers and sisters in Christ for certain, and that we wouldn't go half-cocked into a situation that we don't really know all of the information about. May we seek to be knowledgeable and wise and ask questions and not just assume the worst in people. May we be people who assume love first. Love always hopes, right? And the Lord is faithful. May we take assurance in that as well, that the Lord will use everything to the glory of his name and that he is faithful. With that, I hope chapters 20 and 21 were a blessing. 21 and 22 were a blessing to you. And I will see you tomorrow as we conclude the book of Joshua.